Follow along, Catholic Pilgrims, as we follow French Doctor of the Church, St. Francis de Sales, through his book, Introduction to the Devout Life. Tune in as we read through this practical guide for living out the Catholic faith well. Hello, Catholic Pilgrims. Welcome to the fifth and final part of the book. We only have 19 more readings left together in this season. And I apologize if on this podcast you can hear the wind blowing really loudly behind me. That's just how it is here out in the desert. Sometimes just for days and days, the wind blows really hard and there's nothing I can do about it. So if you hear it, it might sound like a kind of a spooky haunted house sound, but I do apologize. Anyway, the whole fifth part is about renewing our souls in devotion, which makes sense as the book is called Introduction to the Devout Life. So let's go ahead and open our books to chapter 1 of the fifth part. Chapter 1, how we should each year renew our good intentions by means of the following exercises. The first point with regard to these exercises is thoroughly to appreciate their importance. Human nature easily loses ground in what is good, through the frailty and evil tendencies of the flesh which weighs upon the soul and is ever dragging her down, unless she raise herself forcibly by fervent resolution, even as birds would soon fall to the ground if they did not continue in flight by continual effort and the movement of their wings. To this end, you likewise require frequently to repeat and renew your devout purpose of serving God, for fear that, if you do not, you may relapse into your former condition, or rather into a worse one. For it is the peculiarity of spiritual falls that they always cast us down to a lower level than that whereto we had attained towards devotion. However good a clock may be, we still must wind it daily, and furthermore, at least once a year, it will need being taken to pieces, in order that its rust may be removed, those parts which are displaced be put back, and those which are worn renewed. So he who takes good care of his heart will wind it up towards God night and morning, as we have already seen. Besides this, he will from time to time examine into his condition, correct and regulate it, and at least once a year he will take it to pieces and examine all its parts in detail. That is to say, all its affections and passions, in order to correct their defects. And as the clockmaker applies a special oil to all the springs, wheels, and movements of the clock, in order that they may work well and be less apt to rust, so the devout Christian, after having thus dissected his heart in order to renew it, should oil it with the sacraments of penance and the Eucharist. These will restore your strength, which time has impaired, kindle your heart, revive your good resolutions, and cause the virtues of your soul to flourish anew. The early Christians carefully practiced this good work on the anniversary of our Blessed Lord's baptism, when, as St. Gregory Nazianzen relates, they renewed their profession and vows made in that sacrament. Let us do likewise, preparing with readiness and giving ourselves seriously to the work. Having then chosen a suitable season, according to the advice of your spiritual father, and having retired more than usual into solitude, either actually or spiritually, take some of the following subjects of meditation and follow them out according to the method I showed you in the second part. One of the problems with the Protestant heresy of faith alone is that when you think your one-time declaration of faith in God is enough and that you can't lose your salvation, there is zero incentive to renewing your devotion to God. Now, that's not to say that some Protestants don't, but it's not natural to do so in Protestantism. But we know that we can grow lax in our devotion to God. As St. Francis says, quote, "Human nature easily loses ground in what is good, through the frailty and evil tendencies of the flesh, which weighs upon the soul and is ever dragging her down," unquote. We all start out devotion to something with vigor and passion, whether that be dieting, exercise, our marriage, raising children, or getting organized in our lives. Very quickly, our devotion can wane, until one day we look up and we aren't eating well anymore. We haven't exercised in forever. Our marriage is strained. Our attention to our kids is waxing, or our life is disorganized all over again. This is why we can't just start something, say we're going to do it, and then forget about our commitment to it. Each day we have to wake up and renew our commitment, and it's no different with our devotion to God. St. Francis says, quote, "To this end, you likewise require frequently to repeat and renew your devout purpose of serving God, for fear that, if you do not, you may relapse into your former condition, or rather into a worse one," unquote. Two of the best ways to renew our devotion is, as St. Francis says, frequent use of the sacrament of penance and the sacrament of the Holy Eucharist. Our devotion to God is not a one and done thing. It is a daily choice to get up and renew our devotion to God for love of Him. And also, as St. Francis says, at least once a year, really take time to look things over in your life and really commit to renewing your devotion. That is all for today, Catholic Pilgrims. I hope you have a good rest of your day. And until next time, live the faith boldly and travel well.